How can you use line plots to help understand weather patterns? In this lesson, you will learn how to interpret data by making observations about a given line plot. Let's review. When we are looking at a line plot, we have to be sure that we know how to read or interpret the information. We have a line plot that's been created for the data in the table below. Each mark above the number on the line plot represents a piece of data. Understanding that each mark on a line plot represents a piece of data helps us make sense of the data and answer questions, such as, how many students are 50 inches tall? Since there are 3 marks above the 50 on our line plot, there are 3 students that are 50 inches tall. When creating a line plot, it is important to be specific and accurate with spacing. It can be a common misunderstanding that spacing and accuracy are not important when creating line plots. When we look at this line plot, it is very difficult to understand the data. The numbers need to line up with the markings on the line. The sizing and spacing of the data marks, in this case X's, are important to be able to easily compare sections of data, and the placement of the data marks are important to know which number they belong to. It is important to always remember to be careful and accurate when creating a line plot. There are many ways to interpret data when it's organized in a line plot. We have a line plot that was created from the table of information below. Having the data organized in a line plot helps us make specific observations about the data. For example, we can see that the greatest amount of snowfall in January was 6/8 of an inch because this is the largest amount on the line that has a mark above it. There were 2 days where 6/8 of an inch of snow fell. Another example we can see is that the smallest amount of snowfall was 1/8 of an inch because this is the smallest amount on the line that has a mark above it. There was 1 day where 1/8 of an inch fell. An additional example, we can see that the amount of snowfall that occurred the most in January was 2/8 of an inch. We know this because there are 4 marks above 2/8 of an inch on the line, and no other number has 4 marks or more above it. Line plots organize data in a way so that it's easy to pull out specific data for problems like we've done here, and line plots can also help us identify more generalized trends in data. Trends are more generalized observations about a line plot. We tend to look at the entire line plot in order to see trends in data. One trend we can see is that the majority of our data falls under 1/2 of an inch. Another trend we see is that most of our data is either between 1/8 of an inch and 2/8 of an inch, or between 5/8 of an inch and 6/8 of an inch. When we have groups of data on line plots like this, we call them clumps of data. We also see a trend where we don't have data towards the middle of our line plot, between 2/8 and 5/8 of an inch. When parts of a line plot don't have data, we call that section a hole in data. There are many ways to interpret information on a line plot. We have just listed a few examples of easily pulling out specific information and identifying trends in this set of data. In this lesson, you have learned how to interpret data by making observations about a given line plot.